Hello again, folks. Your old buddy, Uncle Willie Joe, back with you, broadcasting from Sycamore Pool in the old rundown fish farm in Lavaca County, Texas. Our last podcast, we talked about the fall of the Alamo, and that podcast seemed to get a lot of interest. So I thought I'd share a little bit more about the Texans and before and after the outfall of the Alamo. Keith Guthrie's book, The Raw Frontier, and I quote, "Colonists from Austin's colony and from DeWitt's colony vied with each other in the lush plains and rolling hills of the Lavaca River. The most famous woman of this period was the wife of John Hallett, who located his league of land along the east bank of the river. His wife, Margaret Leatherberry of Virginia, who had met John Hallett, who was a merchant seaman, and she left home and married him in Baltimore. Her parents were opposed to the marriage. The young couple had set their eyes toward opportunity in the West and loaded their worldly goods into a custom-made wagon that had a bed and wheels made of durable oak and the tongue from the mast of John's ship. While crossing half of America, Margaret taught her daughter to spin yarn and weave and knit socks. As they neared their destination near Schulenburg, two hungry Indians with bloody feet approached them, asking for water. Taking compassion on the Indians, they not only gave them a drink but allowed them to ride two of their horses to their destination, a site near present-day Hallettsville. The two Tonkawas, Morning Star and Rising Sun, became lasting friends of the Halletts. Margaret learned the Indian dialect as well as some Spanish, both proven to be assets to a general trader of goods. After a brief stop in Texas to locate their land claim on the Lavaca River, they went on to Matamoros, Mexico, and set up a store there. When the Mexicans confiscated their goods, they left Mexico and moved to Goliad, where they operated a trading post. In 1833, they took a load of timber and planted them on their land east of the Lavaca River, where they had built a cabin. These trees later furnished material to make ox cart and wagon wheels to build their cabin. After that, this was immediately after the Runaway Scrape. The Runaway Scrape came about after the fall of the Alamo, when the settlers began to evacuate the area because they knew that Santa Anna was on his way with troops to burn and pillage their villages. General Sam Houston was at Gonzales when he heard of the fall of the Alamo, and he ordered an immediate evacuation of all the people in the Guadalupe and Lavaca River basins. He told them all to pack up and leave. One lady named Mrs. Bradley put everything she owned in an old ox cart and put her young son, Danridge, on top and joined the group following Houston's army. Adam Zumwalt was placed in charge of assuring that everyone in Lavaca County was notified and had a way to travel. Included in this group was the widow of Andrew Kent, who was killed in the Alamo. Her sister and 5 daughters came along. The families of O'Doherty and Douglas on Clark Creek were getting ready to join the exodus fleeing the Mexicans when Indians killed them all, except Augustine and Thaddeus, ages 15 and 12, who had been sent into the timber to find and bring the oxen to draw the sleds. As they were returning, they saw their cabins were on fire and could hear the war whoops and the screams of their kin and neighbors. The boys watched powerless from hiding places. At night they approached their home site and found the scalped bodies of their father, mother, sister, and little brother, and of the O'Dohertys, his son, 2 daughters lay naked in the yard. The Douglas boys went on to the settlements and then to their sister's home, only to find all of them abandoned as folks were fleeing from the oncoming Mexican army. They headed for Goliad and fell in with Mexican scouts and ended up in the camp of General Adrian Wall, to whom they told their sad story. They were taken by a Frenchman named Augustine, a Texas trader, to his cabin. Eventually they escaped and met up with Captain Henry W. Carnes and his cavalry detail. Later they found their sister and her husband, Captain John McHenry. And in 1837, the boys returned to their old home in Lavaca County and buried the bodies of their family that had been murdered by the Indians. Both of them grew to manhood in Lavaca County. Old-timers call the mass exodus the Chute to Sabine. As soon as the word was received after the defeat of the Mexican army in San Jacinto, the settlers started back toward their homes in Lavaca County. When they returned, they found a regiment of Santa Anna's army had passed through the lower part of the county and had burned and savaged everything. Andrew Kent's rather large home was burned, and his tools and other belongings were scattered. Richard Heath, who had furnished supplies and meats to units of the Texas Army, returned to find his home standing, but stripped. For such was the life for the folks in Lavaca County and Gonzales County, which back then was DeWitt's colony. When they returned home, they found that the Mexican army had burned and looted and everything that they had. And in the meanwhile, the Indians were killing people, so it was a bad time all the way around. You know, folks, we come from some awful hardy ancestors, people that we should really be proud of, and we should study our history of Texas and the United States as well, because those folks that came into Texas came from the United States, the Anglo-Americans, and they were definitely a hardy group, and we can all be proud that we were kin or related to them in some way. So we'll just end this one with that, folks. And you can remember the Alamo, which the fall of the Alamo is coming up on March the 6th. And remember all the folks in the Guadalupe River Basin and the Vaca River Basin who fled in the Runaway scrape. Santa Anna's army crossed on their pursuit of Sam Houston. They crossed just close to the Moulton area. In fact, there's a historical marker in Moulton showing where they had crossed. So let's remember them. We'll remember all the things they did and be proud that we're Texans. God bless all you folks, and thanks for listening. We'll be back with you shortly. And goodbye.